Did you know 87% of micro farms under 1 acre fold in their first year not because of bad soil or lousy weather, but because they track their numbers on crumpled feed sacks and sticky notes? Yeah, let that sink in for a sec. You got this dreamy little patch behind the house. Maybe it is a tenth of an acre, maybe a full acre if you are lucky. You are growing tomatoes and herbs and raising a handful of chickens while your neighbor thinks you have lost your mind. You want to turn it into a legit micro homestead business. But without software that actually gets small-scale life, you are basically flying blind with a pitchfork. I learned that the hard way. Spent my first season thinking QuickBooks and a paper calendar made me a farmer CEO. Spoiler alert, they do not. The apps built for 500-acre corn barons will drown you in features you will never touch and bleed your wallet dry at $200 a month. So here are 7 things most folks totally screw up when picking farm management software for plots under 1 acre. And trust me, I have made every single one of these mistakes, so you do not have to. First mistake, people think acreage equals complexity. Wrong. A 1 acre market garden juggling 40 crops plus eggs plus value-added jam has more moving pieces than Uncle Bob's 80-acre soybean field. Big Ag software cares about yield maps and sprayer rates. You need to track that the basil succession planted behind the garage on May 3rd is ready to pinch next Tuesday, and that Mrs. Johnson wants her dozen eggs delivered on Fridays only. The secret is to look for software that handles crazy high diversity in tiny spaces. If the app asks for field numbers instead of bed names run, that thing was not built for you. Second secret, folks get suckered by free. I love free stuff as much as the next homesteader, but free farm apps usually mean you are the product. Your planning data gets sold or the app dies in 6 months when the developer gets a real job. I watched 3 friends lose 2 years of records when their favorite freebie app vanished from the App Store overnight. Poof. Gone. Like my sourdough starter that one summer. Paying $10 to $30 a month for something that sticks around is cheaper than therapy after data loss. Think of it like buying good boots. Buy once, cry once. Third thing people miss, they pick software that cannot speak chicken. Most farm platforms were designed for plants, and they treat animals like an afterthought. On a micro homestead, your 3 goats or 15 laying hens might be half your revenue. You need feed conversion tracking egg counts by hen. If you are nerdy like me, kidding schedules and grazing rotations for a backyard paddock the size of a 2-car garage. If the app cannot tell you that Daisy the Nigerian dwarf is due to kid in 12 days and you are low on minerals, it is not a homestead tool. It is a garden diary with delusions of grandeur. Fourth screw up, ignoring the sales piece. A lot of us start growing because we love dirt under our nails, not because we love spreadsheets. But if you are running a business, you are selling something. CSA boxes, farmers, market, tables, porch, pickup, Venmo, eggs. The software that wins for micro scale ties your harvest list straight to your invoice. I used to harvest on Saturday morning, then spend Saturday night at the kitchen table trying to remember who pre-ordered kale and who wanted extra carrots. Now my app tells me pick 14 bunches of kale 8 for CSA 6 for market, and it prints the labels. Game changer. If your farm app does not know what a CSA is, keep scrolling. Fifth hidden gem, mobile first or bust. You are not sitting in an office. You are kneeling in the mud between tomato rows with one hand holding up a trellis and the other covered in chicken poop. If you cannot log a harvest or snap a pest photo and attach it to a bed with 2 taps on your phone, the software will never get used. I tried a fancy desktop-only platform in 2022. Lasted 3 days. My records lived in my head again by Thursday. The best micro farm software feels like texting your best friend. Fast, ugly, and done in the field. Sixth thing nobody talks about, integrations for weird homestead income. You might sell soap from goat milk next to your arugula, or you teach backyard chicken classes on Zoom, or you do sourdough workshops. Big Ag software has no clue what to do with that. Look for tools that let you create custom enterprise tags, or projects, so you can see that your classes made more than your carrots last May. That data stops you from scaling the wrong thing. My buddy doubled his tomato beds because tomatoes felt productive. His app would have told him the farmstay Airbnb actually paid the mortgage. Data does not lie, but only if your software lets you track the whole hustle. Seventh and biggest secret, you do not need all the bells and whistles. You need weather that actually matters. Seed starting dates, frost alerts for your zip code, and a simple profit and loss per bed. Most homesteaders get dazzled by drone integration and soil sensor APIs. Bro, you have 4 raised beds. You can poke the soil with your finger. The fanciest software feature is the one you actually use every single day. For me, that is a dashboard that says, hey dummy, you spent $47 on seed and made $312 from that bed this season. Keep planting that, or stop planting that money pit. So what tools actually work for under 1 acre in the United States right now? I am not going to name drop like a college football roster, but think lean. Think built by market gardeners, not software bros who saw green acres once. You want something that feels like it was made at a kitchen table after chores, not in a Silicon Valley high-rise. Look for apps where the onboarding asks how many chickens you have before it asks your total acreage. That is your vibe check. If they start with yields per acre in bushels, close the tab. One I keep coming back to started as an Excel sheet by a couple in Ohio growing on 1/3 of an acre. It is still ugly as sin, but it tracks succession planning like a champ and spits out a harvest list for market days. Another was built by a permaculture nerd in Vermont, and it handles perennials, animal paddocks, and value-added products without breaking a sweat. And there are 2 new ones out of Texas and Oregon that are killing it for CSA and Venmo integration. The price point you want is free trial, then $15 to $40 a month. If it is more than your chicken feed bill, it better be making you money. Period. Here is the relatable part. Running a micro homestead business is like owning a food truck that also has babies and occasionally tries to kill itself. One day you are a farmer, next day you are a marketer, then you are a veterinarian and a bookkeeper and a social media intern all before lunch. The right software is basically your unfair advantage. It is the sous chef that never calls in sick. Without it, you are trying to cook a 5-course meal in a toaster oven with the fire alarm going off. I remember last spring standing in the rain at 6 a.m. realizing I double booked my CSA pickup and a goat hoof trimming workshop. My paper calendar was soaked and useless. I had to text 12 families while my boots filled with water. That was the day I caved and paid for real software. Haven't looked back. My marriage thanks me. My goats are less judgy. Now let me get savage for a minute. If you are still using a notebook from Tractor Supply to run your homestead business, you are not a business. You are a hobby with a Venmo account, and that is fine if that is what you want. Own it. But do not complain when you burn out or when the IRS comes knocking and you have no records. The United States tax code does not care that you were busy hatching chicks. The hard truth is that software will not make you a better grower. It will make you a better business owner. And on 1 acre, your margins are tighter than skinny jeans after Thanksgiving. You cannot afford to waste seeds, time, or labor. You need to know that your 4R8 bed of salad mix made you $80 last month, while the fancy heirloom carrots cost you money. Then you plant more salad and less ego. So here is the debate. I want to start with y'all. Is it better to stay scrappy with pen and paper and keep your homestead soul pure, or is going full digital with farm management software the only way A sub 1 acre spot can actually pay the bills in 2026. Drop your take below. Are you team notebook or team app? And if you are team app, which one saved your bacon? Because at the end of the day, the goal is not to have the prettiest spreadsheet. The goal is to make your little patch of American dirt pay for itself and maybe fund your next ridiculous project like a duck pond or that cider press you have been eyeing. Software does not plant the seeds. You do. But it sure as heck helps you remember where you put them and whether they made you any money. So what do you think? Can a micro homestead under 1 acre actually thrive without dedicated software? Or are we just lying to ourselves with romantic ideas about the simple life? Let the comments get spicy. I will see you in the next one.